Hi there, welcome to Creature Beyond Commentaries. My name is David Baron von Fabulous Lark.
I'm Callum, the good Doctor Young.
We're here today to bring you some more KFPL action, this time from week 7 of the group stages, so down to the final week, all to play for here. And do you want to tell us who's playing today?
Yeah, so here we have Soadfly from Italian Resurgence, who's looking for a win to have a shot at topping the group, versus JohnLaeng from the Hamburg Atlanteans.
Indeed. And we're going to be looking at Soadfly's decks first.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited because the average speed of these decks is 25.3.
Yeah, you do like them fast decks, and these
I
are
do.
blistering pace.
So we'll start with Olympia, which is the slowest at 23. Uh, and yeah, it's
Real
just going to be
slouch, sluggish
Yeah,
is what I call
it's going to be like going through treacle. It's very slow.
it.
So yeah, you have uh, very fast deck, going to draw a lot, and it's only going to be very sort of disruptive in doing it, right? So you have the logos where you have library access, time traveler, double wild wormhole, and a phase shift into potentially a huge battle fleet
Yeah.
for colossal amounts of draw.
You've just got that arise as well, which if you're library accessing
Yeah,
can be real useful. If you kind of maybe like lost the time traveler earlier, arise the time traveler, play it again, do stuff like that. But also just be hitting stuff like Mars cards to do that battle fleet can be really good with that. The dis good, but like not the most likely arise target a lot of the time. Not really the play effects you get a lot of times with dis, and not really the
yeah.
disrupted dis you get a lot of the time.
Although bringing back two succubuses, two pit demons, not nothing.
No,
That's a problem.
no, not nothing at all. It's something you definitely have to deal with. Like, and Succubus is one of those deceptive creatures where if you can just deal with it immediately, you're like, well, that don't really do much. But it's the kind of thing you have to get rid of a lot of the time. You have to put your removal on it. You have to fight it because otherwise it can really like just hamstring you. And especially with two, can have a real tough problem.
Yeah, you can see a situation where Soulfly has got two mothers down and two succubuses down, and you're playing with four cards against eight.
Yeah, which quite a disadvantage
Yeah.
generally there.
And then we have the rest of the Mars, which besides the battle fleet is just going to sort of try and build up big boards and reap a bunch with stuff like Zizix, um, the Squawker and Soft Landing, Biometrics backup just to put something away.
Yeah, Grabber Jammer a bit not the best Emma control on this, but a Grabber Jammer with a Squawker and a soft landing can definitely do some bits if necessary and can kind of like gonna dig you out of trouble and let this deck just kind of power through to its end game and try and get the win with its massive speed.
Yeah, it's all like very, very good.
Indeed. But we'll move swiftly on, as swift as these decks are, to Vida Hook, Messaggera di Delfino Vitale.
Yeah, so this deck is now 103 SAS. So it's like right up there at the very top of the SAS range.
Yeah, I think it had a big
Um,
upgrade from last time we played it as well. Yeah, 10 SAS points it's been upgraded by as
been
well
very
as
much boosted.
93.
Yeah, so you've got again huge amounts of efficiency. So double Cronus, double Eclectic Inquiry, Lethalogica, Autoencoder, Survey, New Frontiers.
Mm.
Just lots and lots of cycling. It's going to go through things very quickly.
Yeah, Croesus are good, and there's also a couple of draw icons just in Logos too. So one on Autoencoder, one on Damabot. Like the rest are kind of dotted around the other houses. So good in the other houses just to be able to have draw in the other houses, but kind of can't benefit from the Cronus as much there.
No, but then you have um, a bunch of removal in the disc as well, just to clear your opponent's creatures and stop them from doing anything.
Hmm.
You've got a sort of gateway, gleeful mayhem, double doom.
Yeah, you also got Mark of Dis, which always troublesome. Mindfire too, just to kind of like get rid of a card and potentially get some real benefit off of that. Stirring Grave as well. Really some nice ones to get back with a Stirring Grave in this deck. Like whether it's a Sense Chief Garcia can be a really good one. Um, Anguish, I could see Jimny being really good, just kind of having that big kind of Ember control. With the Gleeful Mayhem too. If you can put down an Anguish, play a Gleeful Mayhem, you've immediately increased your opponent's key cost by 5.
And that's potentially a huge problem. I did want to flag up the pain mail in this deck particularly,
Mm-hmm.
because you have the matter maker as well.
Ooh, yes, very true, very true.
So there's potential for pain mail to be coming down every single turn.
Yeah, there definitely is, and like if you, especially if your opponent's playing Dis, that could be incredibly strong.
And we do have 2 out of 3 disc decks on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, we do. But yeah,
Um,
finally, the Star Alliance. It's a great Star Alliance. Not the typical Star Alliance you see. You've got no Nell, you've got no transporter platform. You've got no Subject Kirby, even, which are the
And,
3 cards you generally see from Star Alliance, but still
and
very
yet,
powerful.
there's nothing I'm really unhappy to see either,
No.
right? Like Double Garcias are useful. The Matter Maker's really cool. Disruption Field and Stunner are both good.
Hmm.
Potential for a big burst with Hayden Oswin.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's difficult with Hayden Osman, not the most upgrades in the deck, just generally only 4, but obviously you've got, well, no, there's more than that because it never doesn't count Stealthster. So 5 with a Stealthster, but 3 of them in Star Alliance. So if that Hayden Osman can live a turn, and you can also use Matter Maker to play other upgrades on it, then it could do some damage, definitely.
Yeah, and the final big thing is the Redacted. Which
Yes, of
we
course.
haven't even talked about this yet.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously like Redacted plus a Logos that looks like you'll be able to play it multiple turns in a row
Hmm.
with stuff like Lethalogica and the Demobot and the Dinobot.
Yeah, I mean 7 creatures in Logos, and yeah, 2 of those mutants that can kind of like reap to discard and draw a card means you can just kind of like chuck away any cards that aren't going to be coming up in the near future to get better cards and just keep playing towards that redacted going off.
So then yeah, you're just looking at a free key possibly.
And even potentially with the speed of this deck, potential for like another redacted before the game closes out too, like isn't outside the realms of possibility with this deck.
Nope. And JohnLaeng has 0 artifact control in 2 out of 3 decks. So
Definitely can see
not
that playing a
bad.
big role in these matchups if this deck doesn't get banned, which I think there's a decent chance it will because it is scary.
Yeah, and it's been banned quite a few times.
But third and finally for Soadfly, we have Milan, he who refashions the library.
So I love this. This is my favorite type of nonsense.
Yeah, this is very much you in a deck.
Yeah, I do like it. It's incredibly efficient with like triple Igor, double Daughter, Edai, Tau Tau,
Yeah, I mean,
Kirby's Blaster.
yeah, looking at that logos, there's not a card you twitch out apart from maybe the Bibliophile. Similar with the Star Alliance, really, like especially with Uncharted Lands, not a card you see all that often. We'll quickly mouse over it. Play 6 from the common supply on Uncharted Land. Each Star Alliance creature gains reap. Move 1 from Uncharted Lands to your pool. A lot of times, like Star Alliance is great house, but not the most popular at the moment in the meta. So sometimes you're just getting this on the board where only you're playing Star Alliance and you just reap for 2 where your opponent reaps for 1, which is pretty nice benefit.
Very handy. Yeah, and then you've got in the Untamed, firstly, several actions that would be very useful to play off a Kirby, like a Regrowth, like a Punctuated Equilibrium or Nature's Call.
Nature's Call, great to play off Kirby, as you well know.
Yes, I do love doing that because you've got a bunch of other Star Alliance, right? Like Grey, like Walls, which have play effects.
And Ingram, great one.
And Ingram too, yeah. And then yeah, a bunch of really quick Ember generation in the deck generally. So Ghost Hawk, Flaxia, and then trying to reap out with like 20 creatures.
Yeah, Punctuated Equilibrium 2, both great for drawing yourself cards, but also messing with your opponent. Like, especially, we're going to look at JohnLaeng's decks in a moment, but JohnLaeng's decks has a break combo, for example. Punctuated Equilibrium always puts the fear into you because you can't hold combos as easily because you're like, well, if he equilibriums me and gets rid of those cards, it's going to be really bad.
Absolutely. And yeah, the key charge is to finish it all off.
Indubitably. Which great again with that Uncharted Lands where you can be doing a lot of Emberburst from Star Alliance, and if you've got the Kirby, you can finish off with a key charge.
Yeah, interestingly, very light on creature control as well as Ember control, but you have a double Fangtooth Cavern.
Yeah, I think Fangtooth Cavern it's going to be very matchup dependent, but you've got so many small creatures here. That I say that though, but also they're small creatures that you'd be quite happy to play again. Like Igor, you're happy to destroy and just get it in your discard to play again. Ghost Hawk, the same. Like Flaxia, you've got a lot of creatures smaller than that, but happy to replay that. Come off the Kirby, want to replay it. Walls, fine replaying it. Like it's the kind of creatures where you're like you can ward anything you want to keep with Ingrams, for example, and it's like other things just die.
Yeah, it might work out pretty well.
Mm.
So that's Soadfly. Let's move on to JohnLaeng.
Let's do that right away.
JohnLaeng? I think it's Lang.
I'm not too sure, but we've seen a deck that you like. This is a deck that I like. Bit of Logos, bit of Saurian, bit of Shadows. Can't go wrong with 20 Ember control at all.
No, it's generally pretty handy.
And yeah, I mean, you look at this here, and it's just the the levels of control and the levels of like difficult situations you can put your opponent in with this deck is just great. So you've got, for example, like you've got your tribute, which you can also use to kind of put your ember on something. So put it on a Shrix, where you can be like, well, I'm gonna use this to forge unless you kill the Shrix. At which point, if you kill it, I'll play 2 much to protect and have that right back. Thank you very much.
Just nice and easy, lovely, lovely steal.
And the logos as well, like not the fastest logos you'll ever see, but I think like faster than maybe its speed rating is letting on, because you've got stuff like Edi's and Dr. Millie's to archive a bit. Titan Guardian, I think this deck can actually like do quite well of getting it in the middle to get a bit of a draw. Academy Training 2 and Wormhole Technician, kind of great reap effects. Data Forge, I think, is ambitious for this deck and generally won't, but Desania, great card just generally to have for messing up your opponent doing archive
Yeah.
nonsense, which I think Soadfly is looking to do a bit of.
Yeah, you've got some sort of Cronus stuff, you've got Edi's and Igors and lab works, so I think could be very handy in the matchup.
Definitely could be, yeah. And finally, the shadows, just useful things
Steal.
across the board. You know, Hawks, Mugs, Oubliettes, great things to just deal with annoying artifacts and creatures that are hard to get around.
Hit and run with Ronnie's.
Too much to protect, obviously, Kraken card.
Just there's nothing in that Starlight, sorry, that Shadows that I'm unhappy to see.
No.
I mean, just like, yeah.
Maybe Skeleton Key, you're like, and Whisper, generally not the greatest of cards, but
yeah,
still
but Skeleton Key obviously means that there's always something on the board that can capture 1 and take someone off 6.
True.
Which combos very nicely with the TMTP.
Yeah. And yeah, also Compass Haruspex is an interesting combo with a Retta Gallum, whereby you can reap to increase your opponent's keys by cost by +6, and also reap and increase your opponent's key cost without exalting it too.
Yeah, so obviously set up that TMTP very nicely.
Yeah, so Compass Haruspex are not cards used all often, but each friendly creature's play effect is a play reap effect.
Real.
Nice. Also interesting, Desania could be really good if you get a Compass Haruspex on the board.
Oh, I've just noticed that. Oh god.
Yeah.
Like, you thought you were safe to archive. Well, I'm afraid not, my friend.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so I love this deck. I think this deck is brilliant, and I would have a lot of fun playing it. So yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see if JohnLaeng does.
But let's look at Aslan Sov Architect Kimball.
So with 37 expected Ember, I think this is the most expected Ember I've seen in any KFPL deck that I've looked at.
Because any deck I've ever seen, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I've seen higher at some point, but that was when I like tried to find out what the absolute highest was. And yeah, so you start off with double Brig.
Yep.
It's just going to be very annoying.
And lots of archiving to get you there too. Sloppy lab works, memory chips, Hexbians to an extent. Like you've got ways to kind of holding on to that.
If you want to toss it and then get it back.
Yep. And then outside of that, you what we're saying is you can just very reliably do Brig with this deck, which is terrifying for a lot of people because you don't have a response.
Yes, it's going to be a huge problem.
But then the Dis as well got some interesting cards in Dis, I'd say. Like Otanu the Chained is not a card you see all too often.
It's not, but I think it just can provide you with huge amounts of Ember, right? Because if every turn you are playing two cards with pips on, damaging your own stuff, reaping, bringing them back, that can just go off very quickly in terms of A, destroying stuff on the other side, and B, generating quite a bit of Ember.
Yeah, and in Dis, you've got some good cards to hit with those Otani's bindings as well, whether it's a Dust Imp, whether it's a Scullion, which is eating your Dust Imp and then just has armor to just kind of bounce the Otani's bindings off. You can definitely be using that to get a lot of Ember. Alongside just some useful cards like Banish, like Cull the Weak, just to kind of like thin out your opponent's board, cause them some disruption.
Yeah, just all very handy. And then the Shadows, yeah, besides the Brig.
Yeah, you've also got Miasma to slow your opponent down and say, yeah, you need to forge sometime.
TMTP.
With a Nerve Blast too. Swindle as well if your opponent is trying to stay lower on Ember just to kind of like, you know, minimize the effect. No, it's a Swindle, you then steal 3. I used to have to make more Ember now and I'm in a better position than I was.
So just absolutely huge steal, all contributing to the incredibly high expected Ember.
Yeah. And finally, Scowly Caper, I feel like we need to mention, just as a PSA for something that I always forget, is that Scowly Caper enters play under your opponent's control and can be used as if it belonged to any house. Everyone, any house. It's in the shadows, but it's any house. Don't forget that. and do be like me and just don't use the Scowly Caper and have it destroy your creatures repeatedly. It's really annoying.
Yeah, you could just use it all the time. I don't know why you'd never not do that. Might as well
Well,
get some free
then
uses
at
in.
the end of your turn, it destroys one of its neighbors. But yeah, just bear that in mind, everyone. Scowly Caper is any house.
Just useful at keeping your opponent's board at a very manageable size.
Definitely is, yeah. And finally, we will look at what's the name of this deck.
Good Luck Sister.
Good Luck Sister. That's a cool name. I like that name. That's very good.
I don't know what luck it's had because it's been banned 5 times.
Well, I mean, with an Ettin's Jar and double Stirring Grave and Ultra Gravitron, I can certainly see why, because this deck is fierce.
Yeah, so your Stirring Grave has got a load of incredibly good targets to just set up and having play more than once. So stuff like Infernus multiple times, stuff like halves of Ultra Gravitron to set that up.
Mm-hmm.
You can casually archive your Dark Harbinger, getting ready for some sort of massive Untamed burst turn.
Yeah, also like Pain Mail on, say, an Infernus, and then Stirring Grave it the next turn can be really good.
Very handy.
Mm-hmm. And also just like this, just some good ball control with Gateway and Gleeful. I say this is just exceptional. Like Drekker's not the best card, but like solid, and the rest of it just all excellent things you really want to see.
Yeah, basically.
But Logos, I mean, Ultra Gravitron, I love Ultra Gravitron. I think it's my favorite gigantic creature. It's just super great. Archive top 5 card to your deck. Fight Root to discard a card from your archives and purge a creature. Love it.
So just big burst. And then on top of that, you've got a lot of other draw, right? So double Q-Max, double Cronus, Eclectic Inquiry.
Yeah, unfortunately, you do see all the draw enhancements are in Untamed apart from the one on Ultra Gravitron, so this Cronus is harder to use than in most decks.
It might struggle to fire, I think.
But I think you'll be pretty happy to have those draw icons in Untamed, though, just because it means you're more likely to draw into more actions to benefit from that Dark Harbinger, really.
Actually, yeah, you could sort of try and chain the actions, basically, to try and keep drawing, keep looking for more stuff.
Yeah, and you got Mutation of Fury 3 times, which is gains Assault 3 and the mutant trait. So if you need to do a bit of fighting with your Dark Harbinger, it's a pretty good one to just play one of those, replay another one. You've got Assault 6 and can just like fight down pretty much anything, without taking any damage yourself.
I can't hugely imagine you're going to have board clear problems because you've got a Savage Clash, you've got a Gateway to Dis, and a Gleeful Mayhem.
And a standardized testing just occasionally comes up. I mean, it's apart from that Graviton spike, it's all pretty on a level with the power, so you're often going to have like most other players' creatures be bigger than yours.
Or potentially smaller.
No, smaller, less likely with Ghost Hawk's Glory as attendants.
But you can recycle your Q-Max, which is what you'll probably go for.
That's very true. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that would be very good.
It's like draw, standardized testing.
Okay, so let's talk about bans. I mean, I think I know which ban you're going to choose. I think I'll say the same for JohnLaeng, which is say it with me, Good Luck Sister.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, I mean
there's a reason that has been banned 5 times at this point.
Yeah, I mean, no real Ember control seems like a problem, but to be honest, with the amount of recursion you've got on, say, an Infernus and just the Ettin's Jar and all that, and just everything in it is just...
Ettin's Jar in of itself is usually a strong reason for me to consider a ban, and there's a bunch of annoying stuff on top of that as well that I think will cause problems for Soadfly's decks. A lot of doubles, a lot of triples, which gives you a lot of consistency. And then a lot of like key pieces that you might want to get down. So if you look at Olympia, you could just ban the library access. You could just ban the redacted, or say a key charge or a punk.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think, and it's just even outside the Ettin's Jar, it's just so kind of like got that potential for Untamed Burst that Soadfly's not great at dealing with, and just the kind of like draw speed. It's probably one of the only decks that can keep pace with what Soadfly's trying to do.
This is true, yeah. I'd maybe like have a half a thought about banning the Brig deck, but no, probably still this one.
Yeah, so let's look at Soadfly's decks and see what we'd ban as well. And this is a real, I don't know, I think Vida Hook seems...
Vida, yeah, again.
Yeah. You don't want to just go by SAS, but you do look at this deck and just think, yeah, that's a reason that's 103 SAS, because it is brutal.
Yeah, also you've got absolutely no artifact control in 2 out of your 3 decks. So that
Yeah,
redacted could be a huge problem.
indeed it could. Yeah, Milan might be my consideration just because that's the kind of deck that can just go off and there's nothing you can do about it. Is the
Yeah,
thing, but
you've got no starlights either. The key charge is potentially very problematic
yeah,
for a lot of your combo stuff.
yeah, and you got that graft as well, which could definitely play a factor. I think the only thing with Milan is that you do have like decks with too much protect, with tributes, with those kind of cards that can maybe respond to Milan and can kind of deal with that big Ember burst. Whereas Vita Hook is more
Yeah,
just going to keep generating Ember every turn. But key charge in Milan, maybe it's something you're worried about too. I'd say it's
yeah,
between those two, but I think Vita Hook would edge it.
yeah. I think because also you're looking at pain mail when you're playing 2 disc decks as
Yeah,
well.
very true.
So I think that's easily going to give you the most problems.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll find out which ones were banned and also who's going to win this matchup as we move to the game portion. We'll see you in a second.
Bye bye.
Hi there. Welcome to the game portion of the episode. We have JohnLaeng playing Aslan, Sov Architect Kimball on the top of the screen. And we have Milan, he who refashions the library, being played by Soadfly on the bottom of the screen.
And I'm pretty excited about this deck because it looks really fun.
But we do see Brig from JohnLaeng here.
Yeah, so I think the question is, can the Worlds Collide Zoomy nonsense outpace the Brig?
We will see. So Twin Bottom Mission takes out that ZYX researcher right off the gates. And Igor going to discard a Kirby's Blaster and a Force Field. So a couple of good cards there you're losing.
Yeah, I wonder what he picked up.
And a Daughter to get him draw to 7. What will JohnLaeng do in response?
A few interesting things here because obviously in Melan you have a punctuate equilibrium, which could obviously hit really big if you're trying to set up the Brig.
Yeah, you're going to be wanting to get those Brig pieces in the archive as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you also have in Melan also has an interesting graft in and of itself.
Ooh,
So obviously,
life for a life there played just for the Ember. And a Scowling Caper, not a card you see very often at all.
No, but going to be a problem for this Worlds Collide deck, which is obviously going to be mostly board based. Losing a creature return is not that great.
But a Fangtooth Cavern is going to deal with that.
Probably going to
very quickly. And a Flaxseer as well to put Soadfly onto check here. Oh no, not quite onto check, but with a native call, it is going to be onto check now. Maybe return the Scowling Caper as well.
Yeah, maybe you slow him down. He probably just replays it, but doesn't want to go Shadows again immediately.
No, not a good Shadows turn is what he played there. It's just a life for a life twice in a Scowling Caper. Can't think he's drawn much better Shadows.
And the key charge.
That's a key on turn 2.
That might have been what he picked up with the Igor or something in that untamed combo that lets him key charge out and turning off an instance of the Brig straight away.
Quite possibly a very fast start though from Soadfly here. As he's going to draw up to 7 cards once more and pass this on to JohnLaeng.
That was turn 2, and he fully key charged.
He did indeed, yeah. And he gained how much Ember was that on that turn? I think 5 Ember there. 6
if you count
6 in the Fangtooth Cavern, yeah. So a whole key's worth of Ember they then used with a key charge. It's pretty nice.
Some rules questions as to
right, yes. So it's end of turn. So at the end of your turn and at the end of your turn, I think Soadfly should be able to choose which he resolves. I'm assuming they want to resolve the cavern first. Is my interpretation of the rules, because they are both at the end of your turn effects.
That is what I would think. I wonder if we need to get a judge.
I do not know, but we'll leave the players to decide whether they need that or not. JohnLaeng is asking some clarification here, because we are commentators, not judges. I think, as I said, I'm 90% sure that you should be able to resolve the Fangtooth first.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Hopefully the players will be able to decide between themselves. But if not, perfectly reasonable to call a judge in this situation. Just want to get the correct call. JohnLaeng, I think, agreeing here that you should choose. So I think we may end up going into manual mode just to kind of get rid of the Scowling Caper. if it is going to make him destroy something first, or possibly like let it destroy the daughter and then just put the daughter back on the board would work too. As I say, we'll let the players figure it out. But yeah, very strong start here from Soadfly, especially as well. You really, with that brig combo, getting to your second key as quickly as possible is vital in this matchup because that just turns off a massive part of what JohnLaeng's deck is building towards.
Yeah, whereas previously, if you'd managed to hit the brig once with, say, a punk, then you'd have a second shot at it, right?
Mhm.
Now there's pretty much only one chance.
Yeah,
And also when you brig for the second key, it's much less useful because obviously they have 2 keys forged then and can push towards a third.
yeah, exactly. Only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. It's opportunity, yo. Once in a lifetime.
Yep, sure, that just happened.
Mm-hmm. And as well, we do have a silver key imp as well in JohnLaeng, which is now...
Ooh, that's particularly rough with the brig.
Yeah. So with 3 fates there, is going to clear off Soadfly's board. And he's going to put down the silver key imp in any case. Interesting play there.
But with the Fangtooth Cavern, I've got to assume that's going to get eaten up pretty quickly.
Yes, I think so. The Star Alliance is the choice from Soadfly. Plays an Uncharted Lands. Great for Soadfly in this matchup. Obviously playing AoA. JohnLaeng doesn't have access to any Star Alliance. So is probably going to be able to get all 6 of that Ember off that Enchanted Lands.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how the Fangtooth Cavern plays out, because I think in the deck chat we were considering whether or not that was a good or a bad idea. Well, I was considering it at some point.
Yeah, it seems to be working out pretty well for him though, and he has got that Kirby's Blaster back with the Chief Engineer Walls too to draw a couple of extra cards. Plays a Lay of the Land as well.
So it's just cycling very quickly.
Yeah, Soadfly seemingly running away with this game a bit. You know, you look at the amount of cards that he's drawn and played, and in comparison to JohnLaeng, he's kind of getting ahead of him quite well here.
But that's then the kind of sort of archetype this deck is. It will just go through the deck incredibly quickly.
You see a twin bottle mission, yeah, hitting the Kurukar and the Explorer over, so just wanting to use that Fangtooth to get rid of the Silver Key Imp. Very
and the
play here.
And the Explorer as well does just provide a bit more Fangtooth fodder. And then you can get that kill before, say, Kirby.
Interesting here going to 3 as well, because this means that doing something like what potentially could have been a Binate Rupture for JohnLaeng, who had 5 Ember, you know, would have happily Binate Ruptured himself just to get himself a bunch of Ember. Now can't here because you would give Soadfly that second key, and it would be so dangerous. But Soadfly definitely going to have to play a little bit clever here, though. You know, that Vet of the Brig still very much on the table. Can't go too high on the Ember. And with that Enchanted Land, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Because each time you're reaping now, you're reaping for 2, which means that you kind of... It's hard to be as maybe kind of reticent with your Ember as you maybe would do otherwise.
But just seems to be going for it.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of saying, look, say to JohnLaeng, you've got to have it at this point. If you don't have it here, then I'm just winning this game. If you do have it, we'll deal with that. We'll cross that bridge as we come to it, as I still have my second key very quickly.
Could also have a graft of his own.
He could do, yeah.
But it's also worth knowing that there is a TMTP knocking about in Aslan, right? So you can't necessarily graft immediately post Brig, because then they'll hit the TMTP for huge amounts of steel.
They
Goes
will,
to 8 here.
The thing with the TMTP is, though, they've got the Nerve Blast and the Miasma to go with it. Everything else isn't great Ember control in Shadows. You know, you don't have the Ronnies that you normally expect. So it's JohnLaeng needs to have a lot of cards at this point to make his strategy work, and it's whether he has those that's going to be interesting.
Goes to 9.
Goes to 9 here. This is the risky turn, I think, for Soadfly. I think if you can get the second key, I'm not saying he's won the game, but I'm saying he's very strong position. Does JohnLaeng have the Brig here? Not drawn many cards.
Play both of those Fangtooth Caverns.
Did, yeah.
It's going to munch through any board for on either side, really, at this point.
It certainly is. It certainly is. This is
long
tense.
Pause from JohnLaeng, which is...
He's got to think that means he doesn't have it. Because, okay, it goes Logos. Memory Ships Archive. Main phase. Binate Rupture. Instrumental Graft.
Okay. hits the brig, takes
Hits-
the gamble.
Yep, is going to get 12
So-
Ember from Soadfly, going to 17 and straight into the logos from
Logos,
Soadfly. Gotta think he has the
assume.
graft.
Yeah, that was very fast for him to not have the graft.
But I'll place the bibliophile. Igor looks at the top 3.
Needs to find it. Could
Does.
be in big trouble if he doesn't.
Very much so. Maybe that's why he's in Logos, knowing like, right, I need to
I
find.
need to draw cards.
Okay, discards an information exchange and a regrowth. Plays a daughter, and
Oh,
there's
he's
the
got
graft
it.
right back.
So huge Ember swing the other way. Now
Yeah.
what does JohnLaeng have in
So,
response?
Pressure back on JohnLaeng, needs to have that TMTP and either Miasma or Nerve Blast, I think, here to
Only like still half of his deck just in the draw pile.
go Shadows.
Does he have it? Does have the Miasma.
Is that's not going to be enough unless you can redraw in. You can draw into the TMTP next turn. Boner and on the Kirby, and that's all she wrote. This is tense.
Only drew 3 cards, so
yep, 12 cards left in the deck though.
So like a 1 in needed to draw both pieces.
That
so...
Umbra is going to die 100%, whether it's by Fangtooth Cavern or whether it's by kind of fighting it.
Yeah, no way that sticks on the board.
I think you're going to want to do it with Fangtooth Cavern though, because you don't want to kill that X speed. You don't want to archive a card for JohnLaeng. You don't want to give him more of a chance to pull what he needs to save this game. This is turn 6, and we're already at 2 keys apiece.
And like 15 Ember was grafted by like both players.
Yeah, like Soadfly has 12 Ember. Like, this is turn 6, and the game is going to be decided. Could be decided for either player on this turn, basically, or next turn rather. It's not often you see that in a game of Keyforge.
Just like the ridiculousness of Brig, basically.
It very much is, but hey, they're not paid by the hour.
Nope, this is true.
The Tata Vapors draws 2 cards. Plays
I mean,
the E-Die. Okay, that's significant actually, because
useful.
What the significance of the E-Die is though that even if JohnLaeng does TMCP and Nerve Blast here, he will only have just enough Ember to forge.
Yeah, so could maybe actually still be stopped if he does have the TMTP Nerve Blast.
Yes, yeah. JohnLaeng needs to have this here.
So
I've got to think that
doesn't have it.
No, Call the Weak or Tany's Binding, and banish. Yerk, discards it. Oh, had the Nerve Blast, but just didn't have the TMTP.
Yep. So
oof.
We see a full Brig reversal combo.
Yeah.
With the graft straight back. Had to go looking for it with the logos.
Incredible game. At the end of turn 7, there is a 3 keys to 2 win with 6 Ember in one player's pool and 5 in the other.
Very fast.
Yep, so we will see you in the next game. Okay, and we come to you the second game of the episode. JohnLaeng is a sticker, staying with Anslan, Sov, Architect Kimball, and staying on top of the screen. Whereas Soadfly obviously switching his deck to Olympia, Paladina della Antro Acesio. And we have another graft off here.
Yep, so it is worth knowing also that if Soadfly can take this game and win the match 2-0, that will put him in the top 16, nudging teammate Damat back into the playoffs.
Interesting. Everyone who watched our stream earlier would have seen that Damat did not get the victory this morning over Vincenzo. But we've seen Igor straight off the bat from JohnLaeng. After a lab work from Soadfly, discards a Boner, Venom, and a Miasma. So must have got something very good to get rid of Miasma there.
Yeah, I got to assume that's one of the combo pieces.
Indeed, indeed.
Now, Olympia is not as quick in terms of generating Ember as Melon will be.
No.
but I think has a big potential for draw, so might be able to find that graft.
Yeah, we see some Mars cards coming down. Zizix the Many and a Tunk. Obviously, Zizix the Many, a favourite of friend of the show, Lots of Muffins. Always happy to see it.
The boy.
The boy indeed. But that's all she's doing. Just a few cards being knocked down and not almost twirling of turns, but solid. JohnLaeng, what's he going to fire back with here? Taking a little bit of time to consider his options, but goes for Dis. Plays the Silver Key. Ortani's Binding, going to kill the Silver Key immediately. Cull the Weak to get rid of that Zizix the Many, but of course put in the archives because of the Biomatrix backup. And that's all she wrote. Another KG turn. A little bit of Emma generated. Getting rid of a annoying creature from Soadfly's board. And Soadfly goes Logos. Time Traveler draws 2. Library of Babel. Nice bit of card draw. And Mother, even further card draw. And Fogify, no fighting. I don't think JohnLaeng was likely to be wanting to do any fighting, but he can't even if he did.
Can't have the Igor valiantly fight Tunk and be
no.
brutally murdered for his troubles.
And we see Life for a Life, though, where he will be sacrificed to kill that Mother instead. And a Nerve Blast to take out the Time Traveler.
So now almost certainly can't stop a key with the TMTP.
Certainly not, no. Unless you can get the Yancey gang down to stick on the board. There is a Yancey... Oh, Umbra, rather. I apologise. To stick on the board. That's the only other steal he has in Shadows that's not a Swindle.
But is just pushing. And yep, for that reason...
too much to protect. Just for the Ember goes to 7. And not the most Ember control in Soadfly's deck, really.
No, it's mostly about going very fast.
Yeah, you got a couple of Pit Demons, which obviously need a turn to set up. And is that it?
You got a Grabber Jammer.
But
yeah, very limited Ember control. It's mostly about
indeed.
Disruption and going quicker than your opponent.
But yeah, JohnLaeng is going to get that first key, though. Getting first blood here. And goes Dis. 3 Fates. Oof, that's big. That's, we just said, those Pit Demons have his only Ember control, and both of them are dead now, along with the Pit Demon. Discards the Bullet Eye off of the Yerk. That's a baby Yerk, for anyone keeping up. And a Scullion to sacrifice that Yerk as well. Cutthroat Dis going on here.
Care not for each other. And with the Otanu and the Scullion, there's a lot of self-damaging happening.
Yeah, I mean, Otanu and Scullion are actually a really good combo, though, because you can use those Otanu's Binding on your Scullion, just pip off that armor, doesn't do any damage, and a really good way just to get them in the discard and use them later. We obviously see Soadfly choose Mars as their active house this turn.
I wonder if he picks up the archives, because there's Zizix in there.
He does not.
Hasn't done so, so you've got to assume there's something in there he wants to...
He just does a bit of damage to the Scullion, plays the Grabber Jammer, going to Squawker it to ready it here. Yep. And presumably just going to Reap here to get onto check. Dangerous play here, though, with 6 Ember. Does JohnLaeng have the Brig to take advantage?
This is the stupidest thing about Brig, right? You're like, oh, dangerous play. It's like, he went to check. He has to do that to try and win the game.
He does, yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? Yeah, we just can't...
Stopped at 6 specifically, which I think is a good shout, because there's not much else he can do to stop him at 6.
And I think as well, this is like, if it's going to happen, this is a good time for it to happen to Soadfly. JohnLaeng's not got much Ember in his pool. If he brigged, he'd still get 6, but he'd only increase his by 1. Manageable to deal with.
He has, of course, swindled him, and as a result, I just missed out on the list. So it's back down to 3.
No, Swindle, I did think, but it's not something you can use in conjunction with TMTP.
It's not, no.
The thing.
But it will take you off 6.
It will indeed. And I think that's JohnLaeng's gonna be very happy with that now, because it means that if Soadfly does have to get to go back to 6 now, we've now got more time to draw into that Brig, but it also means that if he breaks now, JohnLaeng's Ember goes to 8, as well as Soadfly's giving him that too. So Soadfly is going to choose Logos as the active house here. Poltergeist, he's off the wild wormhole. Going to use the quantum finger trap. Can't really move anyone around here, but you know what? I don't think there's many archives that he could have hit that he would have been happier with, so probably quite fine with that. Help Future Self gets that time traveler back, plays the time traveler, goes to 7, draws 2 cards.
Stops there. So, new questions. Does he have Brig? Was he biding his time before, or does he just not have it?
The thing oh no, wait, help me. So I was going to say I thought that Soadfly had drawn around his deck, but he hasn't. But has Soadfly got his own graft ready? Is the question.
I think if he had it in hand, he'd have maybe gone a bit higher, if possible. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a big Brig player. I don't really know the theory, right? He might have just not been able to. He might have just played all of his Ember and been like 7 is enough. I mean,
getting a Logos call.
Entropic Swirl, but doesn't have the Binate Rupture. Does have the graft though, so I'm going to get 1 off of that. And discards the Binate Rupture there as well. I suppose fearing Soadfly's own graft and thinking, well...
Yeah, I just think burned by last game.
Yeah, 100%.
Gun shy, doesn't want that to happen again.
I think sensible here. JohnLaeng's ahead. He's going to probably get this second key here. And, you know, sensible play, I think.
Maybe. You have another graft of your own in the deck.
You do.
I think, yeah, definitely influenced by what happened last game.
I think so.
It's just taking a more cautious approach this time.
Yeah, I think it's maybe just like risk mitigation. It's just like, I'm ahead. I'm going to forge a key here. I'm going to get a lot of Ember. Either way, there's no point risking doing the additional risk. And Soadfly's going to use Dis.
Also, like, I have another shot at it where if I get this key here, doesn't matter if he can graft immediately afterwards.
Yeah, very true. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then once he's got a second key, it's so much safer to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so now completely the right play.
Yeah. Now we can bridge this up. We got there in the end.
Yeah.
We're not quite as quick as the actual players in some of these games, but yeah, it's good strategy.
You've seen a Reap from Hexbeam, the memory chip coming on down. Sloppy lab work, you're going to archive something. God, I think that's maybe it's a part of that break. Maybe just wanting to get more cards in hand. Thinking about what he's hitting, though. And he's going to discard the Scowly Caper. Plays another Sloppy Lab work, just archives off that because his hand is empty. But 5 cards left in deck, 2 in the archive. Gotta think he's got that second Brig up and firing here. We're going to see Mars from Soadfly. Battlefleet.
Battlefleets. That might have been what he was waiting for with the extra Zizix in the archive earlier.
I think so, yeah.
Pretty big draw now.
Draws 4 cards off of it.
Just going to blow up some of the board.
Bob-Omb, yeah, I think he's going to blow up quite... Only reveals 4 cards, though. So maybe didn't get as much off the Battlefleet as he hoped. But does have 2 Zizix Domenis, a Squawker, and a Combat Pheromones in hand. Maybe I can see Soadfly here just reaping twice with the Grabber Jammer. Just to kind of minimize the amount of Ember JohnLaeng has in his pool, minimize the amount of value you can get off that Brig.
Yeah, because you hit the Squawker, you reap with a Grabber Jammer, you go to 6.
Goes for a 6 to many.
Once a card draw.
And just gets to check as well with that to reveal Succubus. Now, this seems like a good a time as any for JohnLaeng to be hitting the button. Then it goes for Dis instead.
Clearly doesn't have it.
Picks up the archive. Or maybe he's just going for, doesn't he have control in Dis? I don't believe
not seeing it.
Goes for Otani's Binding. So yeah, gotta think maybe just hasn't drawn it. You know, still has 5 cards left in the discard, so every chance.
Yeah,
also just the Grabber Jammer.
We say that he's missed the Brig, but this is just pushing towards key 3 here in a way that might work.
Yeah, we've already said Soadfly not a lot of Ember control in this deck, has got rid of some of it with the Grabber Jammer there. I don't actually know if Soadfly can stop him from this position. Depending on what he's... I don't think he has any just mess with someone's Ember. We've already seen the Squawker go. We've not seen a soft landing yet, I don't believe. But you've got to think he would have used that on that Mars turn. Yeah, I think it's soft landing. Oh no, with going to 8, I think he may just have it here.
Yeah.
There's the graft from JohnLaeng off the wild wormhole. Not the time you really need it. Library of Babel to draw a card.
But nothing coming in Logos as far as I
Lab
can see.
work? No, I don't think so. I think we maybe go into game 3 here. And Fogify to stop the fight, but no fighting needed when you've already gotten that final key. Poltergeist just to destroy the memory chip. I think just playing it out here is Soadfly. Use the 6 to minis.
Just having a
for a
nice little
cheeky
time.
reap.
Good into check.
Yep. Yeah, and there it is.
There it
And
is.
there's
Aslan not needing the brig to
no,
win.
not needing it at all.
Just having that many pips.
Yeah. And I
also
think
that
the threat of it, I think, was more what helped
yeah.
too, kind of thing. It kind of really changes how you play when you're playing against a deck like that.
Yeah, I mean the deck has 37 expected Ember as well. I guess we kind of didn't neglect that.
It's not a one-trick pony, definitely not. But
no, it can generate lots of Ember without Brig as well.
We will join you in the third game now, so see you in a second. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the third game of the episode, the Decider. And JohnLaeng is on top of your screen playing Colonia Grifon, Modella della Tota. And Soadfly is on the bottom of the screen once again playing Olympia Paladina del Antro Acheo.
So it's a very quick Kota versus your sort of more complicated Saurian Shadows combination.
Yeah.
And whether I think these double fears that we have coming out of Olympia could make life very difficult for JohnLaeng.
Definitely could, yeah. And we obviously Wormhole Technician off the bat after the mulligan for JohnLaeng. And Soadfly also mulliganing.
Fortunately, can no longer top the group, I don't think.
Unfortunately, and there's a fear just to return that Wormhole Technician. Turns out robots can get scared. And discards a Gateway to Dis and plays a Succubus.
Gotta think if you're trying to set up a big board Worlds Collide nonsense, you're quite happy to see both of those things go very early.
Yeah, and Dox and Millie going to archive just a 1 card. Of course, we know not. Hologramophone, bit of Ember, Cutthroat Research just for the Ember, and a Wormhole Technician back on the board.
Did they bring Dr. Millie back for Dark Tidings?
I don't know actually. I try not to keep up too much with the spoilers for Dark Tidings. I'm gonna look and just gonna like see how the state of the game's going, but I'm not.
Because he's underwater in like a robot submersible thing.
Anyway, library access with a time traveler here.
Already starting pretty big.
Yeah, and this could be a big turn here, depending on what we have. If we have a look, you know, we got some phase shift. We've got Graft here, just going to be played just for that Ember in the draw.
Yeah, you just want to draw as many cards as possible here, I think.
Yeah, indeed you do. Lab work and archive something. We know not what.
2 phase shifts and two wild wormholes and a phase shift you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And have we hit any of those wild wormholes? Wild wormhole are great cards hit off, but no, we haven't.
No.
Still a solid library access though. Got a fair few cards out there, fair few cards drawn. Got a big old hand. Especially with those 2 mothers coming down.
But not. I think in that deck you're going to be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah. Will JohnLaeng have a response? I mean, Axiom of Risk would be great here. Hitting the Succubus, hitting the 2 mothers. You know, it'd be pretty ideal. Not too many creatures you care about on JohnLaeng's side of the board, but he's going to go to Logos. Probably doesn't have that.
The problem is you could have some serious card problems here. Yeah, it takes out the Succubus. Yeah. So you're now only 2 cards behind.
And plays the Data Forge just for the Ember.
Yeah, I don't think you can really Data Forge in that deck.
Yeah, I think it's not a Data Forge deck, certainly. I think it's you will definitely find some situations in which you can manage it, but it's not like it's not one that's likely. And this is going to be a choice by Soadfly. Pays a Pit Demon. Another Pit Demon. Master of 3. And discards a hand of Dis. Understandably, doesn't want to destroy his own creatures because there are only 2 creatures on JohnLaeng's side of the board. But Soadfly, despite all of his dominance here, despite all of his card draw, only 3 Ember in the pool. Which you got to think suits JohnLaeng down to the ground.
Yeah, gives him much more time to set up Saurians, say Cincinnatus Rex, which is currently looking intimidating.
It is indeed, but we are going to see Mars, and we've not seen any Mars at all this game so far. We've got a big hand from Soadfly. Battlefleet could be a big draw right here. And it is 5 cards.
So you've got to think he's going to try and take out that Rex, which
Yeah,
with
and also
5 cards.
has I think also with both the Ixley Marauder. Am I thinking of the right one here? I'm not. I thought I always get that mixed up with the 9 power Dominator, which he doesn't have,
But so
unfortunately.
might be, has drawn enough to easily blow up Cincinnatus Rex.
Yep.
And also with the Squawker and the soft landing, it's going to have a
Doesn't
pretty
go
good
for the Rex though. Goes for
Hmm.
the what was that? The Millie and the Ludo and the Technician.
Very interesting. I suppose if you remove the Ludo,
And soft landing, gonna play Zizix the Many. I suppose it's not the easiest board for Rex to get a big combo into. Lots of quite high power creatures. Presumably you're gonna make Zizix the Many. You're gonna reap with it and make that bigger too. You know,
yeah,
you can fight the Time Traveler, the Master of Three, but then after that, you're going to be fighting something that's so big that it's going to kill your Cincinnatus Rex. Not going to be able to get that really big turn that you often want to.
yeah, that's probably fair. Ready's the grab a jammer so he can get the 2 capture on the Marauder.
Mm-hmm. And capture on the Grabberjammer himself after a reap which reveals Succubus, puts it in the archives. And this
Goes
is
back up
an
to 8 because
intimidating
these.
board.
Yeah, there's an Axiom about, but he really needs it very soon, I
He
think.
definitely does, and has definitely been stymied by that early Succubus from Soadfly. I think it's kind of been like kept in a box a bit as JohnLaeng. Hasn't been able to draw the cards he maybe necessarily needs, but he's going to go Saurian. Has he hit that Axiom? Removes the Pterodactyl stun.
Could get some work done with the Pterodactyl.
Definitely could, yeah. Plays a Retagallum.
So makes the keys cost 9, handy.
And what else are we going to see here? I think maybe even just deciding if he does have the Axiom, when to play it. You know, is he going to try and get an Ember on, say, the Cincinnatus Rex and the Gallum first? Fights the Grabberjammer. I think he might have this Axiom then, potentially. And I think what he might be doing here is leaving that Marauder alive, which won't be killed by the Grisk. And maybe he's just gonna go for. Okay, no, I was wrong, because he's just killed that immediately. Okay. Reach the threat of Gallum, put an Ember on. And yeah, that's all she wrote.
Instantly choosing to exalt the Rita Gallum could have made Soadfly Forge for 9 here. So I think
Yeah,
it's perhaps holding out for a TMTP Ronnie turn.
I think so, yeah. I think we've got to assume that. But hasn't drawn many cards this turn still.
And the control the weak means that he's
Into
not going to get it.
logos.
Yeah, so can't do Cincinnati Rex stuff.
And
Can't
we've
use
already
the
seen a lot of
TMTP.
logos, doesn't draw anything, so we can't think there's going to be much logos coming out of JohnLaeng this turn. Maybe he puts a hologramophone on the Rex, could be pretty nice, but
I mean, it's still a pretty brutal control the weak.
it is definitely, yeah, certainly. It's going to put a Time Traveler back in the deck. And help him future self. I maybe would have tried the Library of Babel first there, to trying to just draw it naturally, but Time Traveler though still good to get, and he's supposed maybe wants to just reshuffle his draw pile before he draws with the Time Traveler. And he's going up to 12 Ember is Soadfly, and it's shit. And JohnLaeng got to be exceptionally annoyed that he can't be playing that TMTP here.
Yeah, I mean, control the weak, showing why it's still one of the best cards of the game.
100%.
Just blocking what you can and cannot do.
Let me see the lab work is going to archive a card here. Library of Babel to draw a card, and Soadfly up to 15 Ember, 16 Ember makes that as the Wild Worm pulls into a Grabberjammer. And Orbital Bombardment off the second. Can only reveal a Biomatrix backup to do 2 damage, so not thrilled with that. And Fogify as well, just to rub salt in the wound.
The thing is here he's going to forge for 6 and then still be on 13 Ember, so still in very much
but I think
TMTP range.
Yeah, Titan Guardian coming down here, going to ward this Cincinnatus Rex. But this is the problem. JohnLaeng just not being given a chance to draw cards. If he hasn't drawn that TMTP now, then I think this game is running away from him real fast.
Yeah, and this is more what you'd expect Olympia to do, right? Like that was a huge logos turn.
Mm-hmm.
and he's just been able to have these two mothers sit on the board this whole time.
Yeah. He's been drawing 8 cards a turn pretty much since turn 2, 3.
Yeah, very early. JohnLaeng just been unable to find the axiom that I think he needed. Yeah, basically ever since the turn 2 library access, he's had hand of 8.
Yeah, which is generally pretty helpful, I find, in QCH.
Just having more cards than your opponent, especially with the succubus that lasted for a while too.
Yeah, the succubus did, yeah, and I think that's just been JohnLaeng's trouble. He's not found that kind of creature removal that he really needed just to get a foothold in the game. He's going to go Dis from Soadfly now. Pit Demon to steal one. And steal another. Plays the succubus. And first blood is Soadfly forces to keep Poltergeist. Use a hologramophone to ward the succubus too. Oh.
Just doubling down on that.
Disgusting gateway of Dis, understandably. I mean, place the fear. Returns the Titan Guardian. Oh, God. This is utterly heinous. I mean, even the Team TP at this point, I don't know how helpful it is.
Yeah, he hit shadows very quickly.
Hawk onto the Library of Babel. Destroying the combat. Oh, no, the combat very much not the Library of Babel. I do apologize. And Mug. Does he have it? There he steals 10. Oh. Skeleton Keeper. I've got to think that we've not seen the graft from...
We have not seen the graft. He's reshuffled it a few times. He may have just got lost. Hits logos very quickly.
Yeah, and I think this is what we're going to be seeing here. I can't think he would have gone to all that Ember without a graft ready and waiting. Reaped with the Mother. Returns Time Traveler. Uses Library of Babel to draw a card.
Oh, redraws the Time Traveler. That's nice.
Plays Time Traveler. Reaps with the Mother.
So I think almost must have it now.
Surely he does. Yeah, I mean
the very bottom.
Phase Shift. Control the Weak. Into logos. Oh, and there's the graft.
And there it is. Yeah.
That is 15, and there's an amazing concession from JohnLaeng, very understandably.
So, despite one player playing a double brig deck twice, betrayed by interdimensional graft, proving crucial in both of his defeats at the hand of Soadfly.
Yeah, and Soadfly there saying insane draw. I think both players played very well, but yeah, I think JohnLaeng just being stuck, not being able to draw the cards he needed, kind of like that succubus card being returned to hand, just meant he could never get really into that game. And like you're saying, that control the week 2, just
turn 2 library access as well, and drawing about 8 cards.
Yeah.
Phase Shift control the week again.
Well, it's another game that's gone to. We have a game here that's gone to 3, so no seal today. It's big sad, isn't it? But
I'm sure you're devastated.
3 really good games from 3 really good players. So what impacts this up on the leaderboard then, Callum, by your reckoning?
So by my dodgy reckoning, I believe that leaves Damat, Soadfly's teammate, in first place, and a playoff consisting of Soadfly and Vince from the Manchester Mavericks.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm glad that Vince is there.
And that will be a rematch of round 4.
It will.
Where Soadfly was defeated. So it's going to be a little bit nervy going into that, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm sure we will. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening. I have been David, Baron von Fabulous Lark.
I've been Callum, the good Dr. Young.
We've been Screechborn Commentaries. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.